Everybody, how we doing? Welcome back to the Georgia Beth Show, my people. I know it's been a minute since I've been up here, you guys. It's been a while. A lot of things have happened, of course, throughout the time span of when I last posted a show to now today. That being September 22nd, 2025. Before we start, I just want to say, hope everybody can pardon me. I do have like a bit of it's not a cold. I am sick. I'm a bit congested a little bit and have a bit of just a cough going on. And, so just keep in mind my voice might sound a little bit different than usual, etc. But let's get into it, my people. Like I said, it's been a while. It's been a second, but we've been trying to look for improvements to say, obviously trying to focus on getting something a little bit done better and, get the ball rolling. So listen, we're going to get started with this again. We really are. I'm not going to BS it. Trust me, we're going to roll with this and keep going. Episodes, I cannot promise it's not going to be every day, just because of life situations, but it will be 3 times a week. I am aiming for at least Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe Saturday instead of Friday. It just depends with scheduling and everything. Right now, I'm crunching up a lot of scheduling. Today is a little bit different because, for example, I'm off, but I'm trying to really crunch in time, with everything. So trying to balance out working, trying to build my career, which is, this, and also my health, that being the gym and everything like that. So that's been, let me get towards the middle a little bit. So that's been one of my goals, for this year is just it was always since the beginning is to focus on just my career, growing my career, or at least getting into it and just growing and keep grinding on it. And my health, obviously, my health is something that I really want to focus on. It's been going pretty good, honestly. We're down 18 pounds, 19 pounds. I want to say 18 since the beginning of August. So, it was unexpected, honestly. I wasn't really, I don't want to say trying, but it wasn't like in my thought process of doing. And, it's just happened. So, yeah. Let's stop the chit chat and get into the show, my people. All right. So let's get the positive vibe segment on the way first. As you guys know, for anybody that's new, we always have a positive vibe segment, basically, where I read you guys off a quote, go over that quote, my thoughts and opinions, and just basically spread positivity. We're in a difficult world now where, like, it's hard to be positive because, let's say, for example, when you congratulate somebody or something, it comes off as like a simp, or it comes off as like uh like a meat rider, if you know the word, you know the word. I'm trying to keep it appropriate, but basically, like, when when you spread positivity, it turns into hate, just because people, the way society is nowadays. So I don't care, I'll say what I gotta say. It doesn't matter to me. um but we got to live in more of a positive world, you guys. It's right now, it's rough with how much society has shifted towards, and it's really here in the United States a lot. Because when I look at other people, like, let's say, other YouTubers from other countries, and I see them vlogging and all that, like, for example, Tom Syndicate. I've always been a fan of Tom Syndicate, been watching him since he was playing Minecraft Maya Night. It's a series that he was playing with his friends. When you see how people get along over there, how they all treat themselves and how they treat one another, it's like, it's crazy, but it's awesome to see. Over here, it's just, we live in such a here in the United States, we live in such a negative environment because it obviously starts from the head top leaders, that being the government, the presidents, etc. that instead of trying to focus on spreading positivity, we're just spreading negativity. I think about the situation with Charlie Kirk, with how much of a mixed reaction was and how the reaction was to his death. I think about the reactions and the things people had to say on, like, let's say X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I think it was sad. If you do follow me on X or Twitter, you understand that I did vocalize a little bit of how I feel about the reactions of the violence and the death. My thing is, for a clear warning right now, with whatever I comment, it's not towards, the language or the things he said about people and all that, because I understand. I'm commenting on more of the reaction to his death, the reaction to the assassin. Just because, listen, I think it's inappropriate to celebrate somebody dying. It doesn't matter who it is. That is not acceptable. We as human beings should never ever be trying to celebrate someone's death. That is just not cool at all. That's sad. That's another person that we're losing in this world. And it's like that is just, that's not the proper way of doing things. You never want to celebrate somebody dying, especially in that fashion. His two kids were literally there in the same vicinity, the same area as their father being killed. And think about it, they're both young, you guys. They're young girls. And his wife was literally there. His whole family was there, and they witnessed that first class. Now the daughters have those videos of him getting shot all over the world, all over the internet, and that they will probably see forever unless they find a way to remove them all. So, um, it's just, listen, we got to do better as a society. That's all it is. We got to do better as a society. I feel like a lot of these amendments that we have going on that were placed years and years and years ago just don't make sense anymore, because they don't, it's not being lived up to what it's supposed to be, that being freedom of speech. We obviously saw the situation with Jimmy Fallon, or no, um let me hold on, because I want to get this correct. Jimmy Kimmel is the name, you guys. Pardon me. We obviously saw the situation that happened with him, where he threw out something, basically said his own opinion, etc., and his show got canceled. Obviously, now it's coming to bite um, NBC or whoever he's with, in the rear end, because they have lost. I believe they said over like 3.5 billion, my people, with a B dollars, because of that show. So, um, yeah, it's just like nowadays it doesn't feel like you can voice an opinion. I feel like now every time you voice something or give your own opinion, if people don't like it, it's a whole war, literally a whole battlefield, literally. Um, but here's the quote for today's episode, today's show, my people. Quote for today is: "Courage is more exhilarating than fear, and in the long run, it is easier. We do not have to become heroes overnight, just one step at a time. Meeting each thing that comes up, seeing it is not as dreadful as it appeared, discovering we have the strength to stare it down." That is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. Basically, what this quote is saying, to summarize it to people, is that it's encouraging. The quote is encouraging steady, realistic bravery. He was basically saying that acting with courage actually feels better than becomes easier than living in fear. And if you don't have to be instantly hysterical, instead of facing challenges one step at a time, as you do, you'll find each obstacle is less scary than it first seems. You'll discover your own strength to comfort. So basically, don't worry about becoming a hero overnight. It takes time, understand that your fears, you can, it becomes easier as you're living in life, and it becomes more of a less fearful thing as time goes by. Um, Listen, like I said before, I think we need to spread more positivity in life. I think we really do. I think we use positive now too negatively. And when I say that, it's just like when you congratulate somebody or when you compliment them or something, you can be considered many things. And all of those things aren't good. Um, and it's sad because it's like, there is a lot of people going through a lot of things, a lot. And I will say because I've had this discussion with a lot of people. I think I think in today's society, in my opinion, in today's society, people I don't think people are really trying to be hateful or hurtful. I don't think that's what is going on in society. I think the thing is that in my opinion, and like I said 1,000 times, this is just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Just my opinion. But I think in today's world, people aren't really trying to be hatred or yeah, be hating or being so yeah, I think because I'm trying to figure out the words correctly. I don't think today people in today's society are really trying to hurt other people or be so hatred towards other people. I think it's more of a built up frustration because of, let's say, prices going up on food. Let's say prices going up on houses. Let's say prices going up on cars. I think it's more of a financial reason and just maybe the style of life of how everything has become in today's world to where it's built up. It's more of, instead of it being hurt and hatred, it's more of built up stress and frustration. And I think it's more of the second one where it's more built up frustration that people have right now because of all the situations that are going on in society. Because obviously, if people were more happy and got what they wanted and all that, it would be less more of a chaotic society. But obviously, listen, we're always not going to get what we want. It's obviously understandable, but everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why you don't get that Rolex on the first day. There's a reason why you didn't get that Bugatti your first 10 years of living, Everything happens for a reason. That's something that we also have to understand. And I think also we have to really what's the word? We also have to really understand and put the hope and trust in God. I think that's something that us as society we really have to do. And look, I understand other people have their beliefs. They have their other beliefs. They believe this. They believe that. This believe that. Whatever. My thing, my opinion, my suggestion to whoever wants to take it: always have trust in God. Always have the faith and belief in Him. Trust me, there's been many situations where, let's say at the time, I was like, damn, what the hell? Like, why didn't this work? Like, nothing, I didn't do anything wrong. I made sure everything was good, this and that, etc. And then a couple months down the road, I literally say, I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. And it doesn't matter what it could be. I could see it on social media, I could see it in real life, I could see it through text, I could see it through an image, photo, etc., video, whatever. But the most important thing that I've understood is that you don't get told right in that moment because he's gonna show you as time goes by why that wasn't for you. And I've realized it a lot. I've spoke with many people about that, where it's something that I've realized many times now, where it's like, now I understand why that didn't work. And I see it a couple months later and I'm like, oh shoot, that's why it didn't work. Literally, that's how it will be. So I think that's what we just got to do is just put the trust and faith in God and that understand that everything's going to be better. Now, let's move on from the positive vibes segment. Let's talk about the MLB playoffs and my team, you guys, the New York Mets. We're gonna start off with the playoffs a little bit. We're gonna talk about that and have a bit of a discussion on the playoffs, and then we'll talk about my team, the Mets, you guys. So, the MLB playoffs for everybody who's new and doesn't understand. So the format and the schedule. So 12 teams make the playoffs. Six from each league, three division winners, three wild cards from each league. The two top division winners in each league get a bye week to the division round. The four playoff teams in each league play in the wild card best out of three. So if you end up number 1 and 2 seed, or number 1 and 2 seed, you basically have a week off, or you have a bye week, so you don't have to worry about playing any team. Now, if you're in the wild card, you got to play a 3 round series against another team. And then that begins the 30th of September. So very, very soon, literally in 8 days. And then the division series starts in October. So let's talk about who I think right now is possibly the favorites to win the World Series. I got right now, in my opinion, right now, I have the Detroit Tigers winning. Now, everybody hold your horses, because I know there's probably people that just went boom, slammed their phone, or oh my God, this guy's crazy. Listen, hold your cell phone, hold your thoughts. Hear me out. Hear me out, my people. Here's why I believe that, or I have the reasoning towards it. Why I think about that. So, as of September 2022, 2025, they are 85-71. They are leading in the Central, but a little bit one game behind. I think they're tied now with the Guardians. They're in a wild card situation, so they would be three seed in the American League if the season ended today, which means they would have to be in the wild card series. So they've had a bit of a rough stretch, you guys. They have lost 6 in a row now. They haven't been doing too well. Um, but here's the good thing. Here's the good thing with the Tigers. The division isn't locked up yet. With the Guardians chasing, they just can't afford to lose many games. Of course, their losing streak is very concerning. That is something that is definitely like a head scratcher, because the momentum matters. It really does. Especially, with the playoffs in 8 days. It starts literally in 8 days. And it's like a skid for, the open doors for the rivals. The schedule ahead is tough for them. They have to play against the Guardians and also Boston to close out the season. So them playing the Guardians could give them a leverage if they like beat them 2 out of 3 or sweep the Guardians. Now, if they get swept or they lose, that is not going to be pretty. Now, um, what can the argument be on the good side for them is overall they have done a well enough job in control, being first in their division for some margin of an error. They've been also there was at a point where they were the best team in MLB and also the best team in the American League. Um, the run differential is solid, so they've been scoring runs. It looks like the offense has been consistent, but it's just the pitching hasn't been too well. Things that they would need to do probably to get better, I would say, is win the games against the weaker teams like the Braves, and to build up more of a lead in your record. Take care of businesses in the big series, so that being like against the Guardians or Boston. Take a lot of the games, win them. Avoid giving up tiebreakers, head to head situations. So don't focus on blowing the lead in the ninth inning. And then yeah, they need to stabilize that pitching, offense, and pitching. Especially letting the bullpen and starting pitching. They need to focus on having that be a lockdown. Now, here's why I think it's just if the Tigers were to go into the playoffs fully healthy, you guys, I think it would be a lockdown for them, with the pitching staff being good, being led by uh oh my god, I keep forgetting. With the pitching staff being led with Scaball, and that offense who has been doing pretty well, and also their manager who has a lot of experience, AJ Hint. I think they got a strong case. Think about it, and the American League is pretty weak. They got the only teams that they would really have to worry about is probably Toronto, the Astros. Um, right now, if they finish off, let's say today in their third string, they would literally have a bye week and then would either face the Mariners or the Astros. So it's like All they would really have to worry about is the Astros. The American League isn't too crazy. It's pretty weak. Now a team that also has an argument from the American League side, I would probably say is Toronto. With how good Vlad and George Springer have been doing with their offense, and then the pitching staff. You got Max Scherzer, Kevin Gosman, who been doing pretty well. Pitching has been pretty solid for them. Um, Now here's the thing. Here's why I think I chose the Tigers over, let's say, a National League team like the Dodgers, or let's say even the Phillies or the Brewers. I think what with the Phillies, if they had Zach Wheeler, they would have been a clear cut favorite with literally that 1, 2, 3 that they had going on right now with Zach, Aaronola, and Christopher Sanchez. They would have been lights out, and then Jesus Lazardo, if he could continue doing well, they would have been lights out with that offense too. But the problem is that losing Zach Wheeler, that's a huge blow, and it's like that's gonna suck for them because it's like you're either gonna go with Aaronola or Christopher Sanchez. Now, your hope would have to be is that Jesus Lazardo comes up and clutches up in the brightest moments. That would be your only hope, but you never know. Especially you never know how he's going to do in the playoffs, like a Christopher Sanchez. Um, and then hope that Jesus doesn't continue getting hurt. The Dodgers, obviously, they can find a way. They won the World Series last postseason, but but it's like you never know. It could end up being something where it's like you never know. Um, Obviously, we'll have them in that conversation, but you never know with injuries and stuff like that what could be going on, and what can happen. Now, my team, oh my god, with my team, I don't even know where to start off the New York Mets, you guys. I really don't. Like I just I'm really not trying to get so frustrated right now because I'm not 100%, but like this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. There is no way that it's just like there's no way that we've given up that wild card spot like this. It's just it's there's no way. And we just got done playing the freaking Nationals, for crying out loud. The Nationals, who are in last place. And it's like we lost 2 out of the 3 or 4 games. I think it was 3 that we played against them. What in the green hell are we doing? Our pitchers are all going down to shit, which was always a part of my language, was always something that worried me because Clay Holmes, it's like he started off good, but you always had to worry about how many times he walked people. Kodai Senga, the hype was very high for him, but it's like the injuries eventually are going to catch up to him. David Peterson has been all right in the middle. He's been pretty solid. Sean Manaea has went from being a good ass pitcher for us last season to basically faking us out just to get a check, and now plays like dog shit, to say it like that. Frankie Montas, we signed him. He couldn't even last. He's injured now. He's out. And it's just like the rookies that we have that we called up are doing good. But how long can that last? How long can that last? Do you see that going all the way to a division series? Hell no. Or a National League championship? Hell no, I don't see that happening. The playoffs is a whole different game. And it's like, look, Juan Soto, you guys, we got to give him a round of applause. I think people need to give him a round of applause. Like, it's just, it's crazy how at the beginning of the year, oh my God, why did he get all this money? This is ridiculous. Fudge Juan Soto. Boo. All that nonsense. And look how good of a season, you guys, he's doing. What's going well with him? He's showing a lot of power. Literally, this is his highest season with the most home run, or first season, or he breaks the record basically with the amount of home runs he hit in a season with 42. has been showing a lot of speed, has 30 plus home stolen bases, so that's a good thing to see. Um, now obviously, of course, on the bases running around, sometimes he's been costly, but he's been doing a good job with stealing. Obviously leads in, on base percentage and in walks. Dude has an eye of hell. Power numbers are up. Offensively, he's slashing pretty well, doing good. Since August, he's been a hell of a performer. Things that he's been, obviously struggling with, of course, is like his batting average hasn't been like how it normally is. I think he tends to do more damage with walks and power and slugging. So sometimes, his average will dip with, hitting like a single or, striking out example. Obviously his defense is something else to look for. Um, but hey, he has 42 home runs, has 30 plus stolen bases, one of the best right now in walks. He's doing a good job. Having a good season so far, literally joining the same conversation with Barry Bonds. Listen, he's young, you guys. We got to also understand he's a young player. He's only 26. Juan Soto is just probably about to get into his prime very soon. Telling y'all, this dude's gonna do great for us. It's crazy how he didn't make the All Star team, and he's doing better than a lot of the people that made it into the All Star team, literally. Um, but hey, how could I say? Listen, back to the Mets. If we do not make I'm telling you, like because it's disappointing that we've tied with the freaking Reds because we can't beat the freaking Nationals, a last place team. We can't beat the Nationals for crying out loud. And it's like we're not doing anything good at all. We keep just wetting the bed consistently every single time. And it just doesn't make sense to me because it's like, bro, we're better than this, but we can't hit at all for nothing. We lost 3-2 to the freaking Nationals. 3-2. What is going on with this freaking offense? 3-2, we lost to the Nationals. And it's just like we just keep wetting the bed every single time. We've let the Phillies take a huge lead of first place because we kept losing. The fact that we got swept by their asses is just embarrassing. Literally swept at their house. Like this is just sad, man. We got to step this shit up. It's always something every year. It's almost the same shit. And it's like, who we got to go up against first if we were to make the playoffs? The freaking Dodgers. The Dodgers. Literally. And then after the Dodgers, the Phillies. So it's like, we really got to put on a belt and get to moving because time is just going by and we're not doing shit. We're not going to get better. Let me see right now, literally, who we are about to face next. On Tuesday, so tomorrow, the 23rd, we play the Cubs. The freaking Cubs. Then we play the Marlins. And the Cubs right now are also in the playoffs that potentially, if the season were to end today, they would play the Padres. But we got to put on our big boy pants and hit the freaking ball and stop giving leads. This bullpen that we have is just dog shit. Ryan Hamsley, who we traded from the Cardinals, they got to be happy as hell because this dude sucks. He keeps wetting the bed for us every single time. Every single time. And then it's like we just this rotation just is like a disaster. I do not trust putting Clay Holmes out there game 1 or game 2 or game 3 against the Dodgers. Hell no. He's just going to walk the whole freaking yard. Sean Manaea probably going to give up a home run and then do decent. But it's not somebody who you can have full trust in to give him game 1 like I was last season. David Peterson, he's doing all right, but it's like also type of player. So it's like this is just it's hard because money is being spent so much and invested into this team, but the hype has not lived up to it. We do not live up to the hype, and this is an embarrassment. This offense shouldn't be this bad where we're losing to the Nationals 3-2. A last place freaking team. It doesn't make sense. And now we're tied with the freaking Reds for the third round wild card. Tied with the Reds. Cincinnati. A team that barely spends any money. And we've tied the game. Now all we need to do is lose this so we can just have them have it and just fall behind the Diamondbacks. That's what's left. Because the way we're hitting, this is just that sad. Let me see who we're putting out again. I should have looked at that. Who we're putting out in against the Cubs tomorrow on Tuesday. We have David Peterson. So that's not too bad, but the Cubs are at home. So it's just like it's rough, man. It really is because, this team is just like it went from being good at the beginning of the season to being a bit to it being probably the worst team after the month of June. And it's like just it hasn't found the it yet. That's the problem with the Mets. They haven't found the it because not everything is connecting in the puzzles. Because either one piece comes out, that being somebody getting injured, or another piece comes out, that being that our pitchers can't freaking pitch. Another piece comes out, our freaking closer blows the lead. Another piece comes out, we strike out, or we suck with runners on scoring position. Like, it doesn't make sense, really, at all. And it's sad because this team, obviously, it has the players. It's just they're not all connecting. That's all that it is. I hope we step it up because if we do not make this, to me, this will be at least in the top 10, top 5 most embarrassing things to happen in this franchise. Literally, after 1,000 things that have already happened in the past decades. But this would be one of the most embarrassing things. Literally, all that money spent going to get Juan Soto, bringing back Sean Manaea, getting Frankie Montas, this and that. We got to step this shit up. That's all I'm gonna say. We have to step this up because this is embarrassing. All right, so let's move on a little bit. I guess staying on ESPN a little bit, but moving from a different sport. That being Wrestlepalooza, you guys, the WWE, my people. So let's just start off talking about the name Wrestlepalooza. Interesting. So for the people that don't know, just to give you some detail on Wrestlepalooza, where that name came from, because many people probably now are like, what in the blue hell is this name, Wrestlepalooza? That sounds horrible. Wrestlepalooza is revived WWE event that was originally the name comes originally from ESP okay, hold on. The name originally comes from ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, which was the name was ran from 1995, 97, 98 to the 2000. WWE officially decided to bring it back for their pay-per-view that was held, of course, on September 20th. So it's just basically an old school pay-per-view name that they brought back from a different company that they bought years ago. And they decided to name it that. Obviously, this was going to be the first major event streamed through ESPN directly to people that consume their streaming services, so anybody that has ESPN could watch the show, just like anybody who had Netflix can watch Raw. Similar concept. So the matchups, let's talk about the matches. So we kicked it off with John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar defeated John Cena, you guys, in probably one of the worst matches I've ever seen in my lifetime. This was probably the worst one I've seen, especially from their recent times. Starting from Extreme Rules at 2012 when Brock came back and they faced each other, to SummerSlam 2014, to the Royal Rumble 2015, Night of Champions 2014. To me, this one's probably the worst match they've ever had. Why? Because it felt dog shit, and all it was another Brock Lesnar squash match against John Cena, and it didn't make sense. That's the thing. And the crazy part is that in that morning, apparently now it comes out was that John Cena was supposed to win that match, and I guess last minute, and it was most likely either Triple H or John Cena that was cool or decided for Brock Lesnar to squash him. It just doesn't make sense because it's like you came back at SummerSlam, you gave him an F5, and that was it. So it's like this is his retirement tour. Why are you gonna have Brock Lesnar squash him? Like that doesn't make sense. That just looks stupid. If anything, if you really want Brock Lesnar to win, have him win. But in a match where it's like, okay, it was good, but this shit was dog shit. It was literally 7 billion F5s. Like John Cena's probably so tired of getting an F5 from Brock Lesnar because this motherfucker gives him an F5 every single time so much. Literally gave him an F5 at SummerSlam, gave him an F5 on SmackDown, gave him like 8 billion F5s yesterday. It's like shit, man. Damn. Like what the heck? So that's the thing. It wasn't a good match at all. Then we had Brunson Reed and Braun Breaker versus the Usos. Love the entrance and the situation that happened there. The Brunsons won, obviously, or the Bronze won. Jimmy or Jey Uso had a bit of a situation. It looked like had a little bit of a bleed. Looks like when he hit Braun Breaker with the chair, it bounced back and hit him in the face, and he had like a bit of a concussion. Or I think he's in like concussion protocol, if I'm not mistaken. Not bad. It was a decent match. Whatever. Now, trust me, ESPN gave the reviews. Stay tuned for that because you guys, they did not play. They were very straight up. Then after that, we had Io Sky versus Stephanie Valkyr. Stephanie won the women's world title. I think that was a good decision. Possibly they look like WWE has a lot of hope in her. That's awesome. Give her the belt. Have her carry that for a little while. I wonder who would she drop it to next. I hope this run goes well. Hopefully everything is successful and that it goes good for her. Hopefully. Next match after that was a mixed tag between Punk, AJ Lee, and then Seth and Becky Lynch. Punk and AJ won. Obviously, it was pretty good match. They did their own. They did their thing. Everything mixed pretty well. Then we finished off with the main event of Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes won clean, ladies and gentlemen. Literally, won clean. So, some key takeaways from what I saw. Stephanie Valkyr gets a big push, winning the title and everything like that. AJ makes her comeback return to the ring, obviously alongside her husband, CM Punk. Brock Lesnar and Cena. Brock had a lot of kids crying, a lot of people disappointed. Literally, kids were full on crying. Um, some positive reactions from what people said that I wrote down was the women's match stole the show, so a lot of people loved Io Sky versus Stephanie Valkyr. That's awesome to see. Many people felt like it was strong, more exciting, and emotional, engaging. The mixed tag between AJ Lee and CM Punk versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch is another spot that a lot of people liked. A lot of people liked that match, especially that AJ returned to the ring. Big names working well. Brock Lesnar match with John Cena was well devised. More on the below got attention for Brock's dominance in emotional legacy sites, weight of rivalry. So Brock, dude, he still looks like a monster. That shit, dude is insane. He's almost 50 or yeah, he's almost 50. And the dude, like, it's true. I forget who said it. Something tells me it was John Cena or Pat McAfee that said it, but this motherfucker, every time he comes back, just looks way bigger than what he did before. Like, you put a side by side picture of how he looked in 2023 to how he looked now. Bro looks way bigger now. I'm like, God damn. Shit. I'm like, what the hell? And he's just getting older too. His daughter is a freaking freak of nature too. She looks crazy jacked. AJ Lee obviously coming back, you know, a lot of nostalgic love. Folks were happy that she came back and you know, her match was pretty good. ESPN, the streaming and presentation and productions, many people liked the lighting and the video packages, everything like that. People had a lot of good reviews. Um, so the criticism that people had was lack of surprises, the reaction of Cena versus Lesnar, the main event show structure, the value, you know, of streaming and all that, etc. Whatever. So me personally, in my opinion, I just I wasn't a fan of the show, and here's why. I want people to hear me out. So me personally, I feel like it felt like another pay per view just to compete with AEW because AEW was having their show that day and just be able to have bragging rights. That's what to me it felt like. And I say that because a lot of these matches, except for like one or maybe two of them, felt like they had a proper build up to a match. That being the mixed tag match between AJ Lee, CM Punk versus Seth and Becky. That was the match that felt like it had a proper build up to it. But then with like let's say for example Brock and Cena, Brock just would come out, literally had a segment with our Truth, then decided to destroy the announced members, that being Michael Cole and Corey Graves. They barely had an interaction. Cena just showed up on Raw. Brock would show up on SmackDown. What the hell is that? Then Cody and Drew. Cody was gone for majority of it. Drew was just saying the same bullshit that he would say. And then the Io Sky and Stephanie, it was just like it felt like a here you go, last minute thing. That's what to me it felt like. Also, another problem was, which is similar probably to lack of surprises, was I feel like it was the fact that there wasn't many like there wasn't anything that came out of the show that you could be like, okay, we're building up towards this and that or this. With Brock and Cena match, you could have at least, if you wanted to do that match again, you could have probably done a different ending to it, but not like the same bull BS. Cody and Drew, that's a big one. Why are you gonna have Cody beat Drew clean? Like apparently they both had agreed to have, you know, Randy cost Cody the match a little, or you know, cost him the title by, you know, sticking his nose in the match, but nothing happened. Like it just felt very meh. That's what it felt like. It felt very meh. That's the problem. Now, ESPN, you guys, they were not playing. They had a big review about the show and all that. They were not playing. Um let me see. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys right now. All right, so this article that I have is from Cage Side Seats, basically discussing about ESPN's review on Wrestlepalooza. So here's what they say. So they're saying, and I quote: Wrestlepalooza was supposed to be the new era for WWE, the first premium live event on ESPN's new streaming device. Instead, it drew a collective shrug from fans and critics alike who found the show underwhelming. Apparently, ESPN agreed. Um, let me see if we can get on their actual website. Okay. So, let's see here. Okay. So, let's go. Okay. So, here's what they said about, or you know what? We'll come back to that. So, here's what they said. The writer or the combat sports writer, Andres Hale, if I mispronounce your name, I'm so sorry, gave the event a C grade in the writing. He says, the excitement, Valkyrie versus Sky match saved this show from being truly average. It was a phenomenal display inside the squared circle. Everything else was either underwhelming, the short Rhodes McIntyre match, or a setup for a future match, Lesnar dominating Cena, for a card that promised to have epic moments to fall a little short of expectations. Ooh, that is not a good look for the WWE. Um, And listen, they're not wrong. That's the crazy part about it. They're not wrong, literally. So they gave the women's match a B plus, which is looks like it was their favorite. They gave the mixed tag or the tag team match between the Usos in the Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They gave it a C. The mixed tag, they also gave it a C. Wow. They gave Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre a C, and then they gave John Cena versus Brock Lesnar a C minus. So obviously, every single match except for the women's match, they did not like, or it was like a meh, whatever type moment. That's the thing, and I think it's crazy because they said that match, yeah, literally, they said that the Cody Rhodes match felt more of like a main event of SmackDown than a headliner of a pay per view. That is not good at all, Triple H. And I say Triple H because Triple H was the same guy that came out and was saying, expect many surprises and all of this stuff. And a lot of people did because they thought that John Cena and Brock starting off the show meant that something was going to happen at the end. Now, here's the thing I want to clear up with people because w- I think people have to stop doing this. Guys, the Rock isn't gonna come back now. He's not going to. That final boss character is probably gonna be put in a case for now for a while. Brock is not even in a final boss body anymore of like how he was a couple months ago. He's not. The Rock has shedded a lot of weight as well. He is not going to come back, you guys. He's going to put his full flown thoughts into his movie right now. We got to understand that. You know, everybody, oh, Rock could be John Cena's last opponent. No, he's not going to come back. Rock's just going to do his own thing. We got to stop getting out of those. We have to stop building too much hype, sadly, with The Rock, you guys. I know we were dying to have Rock versus Roman, but it's just either egos or just, busy schedule. It's not going to work anymore. We got to stop doing that because, like, I get it, the excitement and all that, but guys, it's not gonna happen. Literally, it's not. And the Rock's just get both superstars are just getting older. Rock's literally like 52, 53. So we got to stop that. Um, Now their review with Brock and Cena, they just it just they I don't think they liked the moves. They literally said it. There was about 6 moves in the 9-minute match. It's pretty much what you would expect out of Lesnar. So damn, out of Brock, they were not a fan of Brock. It looks like. Um, Listen, with that style, I would say Brock. Look, Brock's a beast. He does a good job with what he has to do and everything. Um, but listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Just talking about WWE itself. Um, I've been, what's the word I'm trying to look for? I've been definitely disappointed in the company for sure since they've moved from TKO. Um don't get me wrong, they've had a lot of moments, but it feels it the priority doesn't feel the same anymore. And it doesn't feel like what was prioritized before, it just doesn't genuinely feel like that anymore. And when I say that, I mean before the priority was the fans, even though we didn't see that as much because of the matches we would get and all this, etc. But they genuinely were the priority. Now it feels like the priority is just to get a click, get a blow up moment, or money. That's all that WWE cares about now. Obviously, we see that with the situation of WrestleMania 43. Obviously, a lot of people are not happy because it's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and many people don't want to travel all the way down to Saudi Arabia. So, it's just like then you had the situation with WrestleMania 42 next year where it was supposed to be in New Orleans, and they're going again back to back to Vegas. So it's just like obviously it feels way much more of a how could I put it? It feels more of a money drive. It doesn't feel like it's genuinely for the fans anymore. Look at Triple H. Oh, man, expect many surprises, this and that. There wasn't shit. The only thing that was like, oh, okay, was, Stephanie being inducted into the Hall of Fame, which we're going to get into in just a second. But after that, it was just like, w- you know, why am I going to spend $30 to watch this show when it's just better to go on YouTube and watch the highlights for free? That's what it feels like. But it's just the tradition, and I think even like talking about Stephanie before getting into her induction, you can tell she's even starting to tell that it's more about money than it is about the show, about the fans, which is what it was supposed to be about. Um, and it just doesn't feel genuine anymore. Um, Now talking about Stephanie McMahon, as you guys know, Undertaker came out. He has to, I don't know. That's another thing. I think Undertaker got a he said it in his show, but I guess he took it back. That this much appearances is just ruining his value as a character because it's like this American badass thing, like that's just boring now, dude. But he came out and basically went to Stephanie, sat down, and basically told her, "Hey, we're inducting you, or you're going to be the first person inducted into the WWE 2026 Hall of Fame." Look, here's my take, my perspective on it. I think Stephanie's induction is well justified. She brings a rare combination of on character work like her father, championship credentials, which obviously, as you know, she is a former women's champion, an executive slash creator, and somebody who has at least a thumb in the business, that being the WWE, because it was her father's. And obviously a global growth influence, especially as a woman. She was in this, she's been in this industry for decades where, you know, a lot of them got treated like, let's be honest, not good taken care of. And now they're being treated phenomenally. And she's been overall, she's been a good person to represent the women. Stephanie's been a great role model, obviously, for the WWE. And then obviously being, part performer, part business, she has a foot in both worlds. Inducting her acknowledges more than just, her matches and the situations and her feuds that she had, and acknowledges the influence she had behind the scenes. The roles that built the product, that it is today, the representation, with maybe she had a lot of influence on how, let's make a change for the women, the women's division, and obviously everything like that. It helps, it's a good thing to recognize. um and if anything, this induction highlights WWE's evolving idea of what the Hall of Fame should recognize, not just, in-ring stars, but also the executives, promoters, and the brand builders, people that are helping elevate the business, make the business better than what it was before, with anything from matches, storylines, promos, stages, the lighting, the camera, the way it is, everything like that. We've obviously see a change, how the ring looks, everything like that. Probably has, a hand in that. Right? And of course I say because technically she's one of the bosses at that in that business. Um that said though, for people that care about, heavily about the in-ring legacy as a main metric, there will always be distant. They will always be distant, but this deserves like a deserves versus pedigree versus an on-screen impact. Balance will be debated when, everybody will have its own thing. But listen, I think Stephanie McMahon being inducted, that's cool. She has done a lot of things for the business. She's been here for a long time. And she's been a good influence for the women. Hasn't You've never heard Stephanie doing wild stuff. Listen, on character is different, but she's been a good role model. You can obviously tell she's a good person, and she genuinely cares about the fans. We obviously know with what her podcast, where she promoted a VPN for the ESPN, the Wrestlepalooza pay per view, and she was interviewing Roman Reigns, but we won't speak on that. But hey, listen, that's great for Stephanie. She deserves it. Awesome role model, and and good for the women. She's been a great person. Now, before we end off this segment, let's talk about John Cena. Let's talk about what's next for what everybody's claiming the GOAT, Mr. John Cena. He has 5 appearances left. I believe it's Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, and then some Raws and Saturday Night Main Event, you guys, which would be his last appearance, Saturday Night Main Event as a wrestler. Listen, I think that there is still many people that he needs to fight. I wonder who he would face at Crown Jewel. We already got the poster for Crown Jewel. Looks like also Roman's gonna be there. I hear a lot of people thinking maybe we get Roman versus Cena. I don't think so, just because it's like, who's gonna be the heel? You know, both people are very cheered right now. I would love, love, love to see, and I hope that we get this match. We need to get John Cena versus Gunther, you guys. We have to. Like that match cannot go this year cannot go by without that match happening. We have to. I would love to see AJ Styles versus John Cena. I think him versus John Cena for the Intercontinental title would be nice. Think about it. That is the only title John Cena hasn't won yet. Or hell, John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio wouldn't be mad. Now, obviously, the ultimate question is who's going to be John Cena's last match, last opponent. I'm trying to think of the perspective of how John Cena would want it or the company would want it. I want to say this. The last person who faces John Cena, especially if they get a win and they beat John Cena, it's going to be two things. They're going to get a big push for 2026, and WWE, creative, Triple H, and everybody's probably hoping they turn into a big star, a mega star. My gut wants to tell me that's Braun Breaker, but it's hard because of Seth Rollins and what they got going on right now. But also, it could be Gunther, even though Gunther has already proven himself, main event star, etc. But giving him a huge push, I don't know where the hell Gunther has been, anyways, on top of all of this. But I think either one of those two will be a good opponent. I don't think we need to get John Cena versus Brock again. That's unnecessary. But um I that's my thoughts. Whoever's the last person that faces John Cena is probably going to beat them and is probably going to get a mega push and probably going to be a big star. Now, I don't think it'll be Roman. Even though I'm predicting right now that Roman Reigns is probably going to win the Royal Rumble for next year. And probably go on to face Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes. I think that's a very huge possibility. Um, but there's many superstars, many out there that we can get, to face John Cena. A lot of young talent who are hungry. But I want to predict it's either going to be Gunther or Braun Breaker as his last opponent. I'm gonna say that. Listen, it's gonna be awesome. John Cena, he's been a good soldier to the company, a very good person, awesome role model. He's somebody that I will say when you see him in interviews and everything, he's just phenomenal. But you know, let's see what happens. Literally, we'll see what ends up happening. I'm gonna wrap it up here, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Like I said before, you guys, I'm sorry. I know we've been slacking a little bit. We haven't been to where how we should be. But trust me, we're going to get consistent. We're going to be doing this and we're going to be grinding. Appreciate everybody that watched this. Leave your thoughts down below on everything we talked about, anything of the positive vibes. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.